You want to intro?
This is recording.
If you like that.
I like the boat. The one. This is recording. Go ahead.
Good afternoon. How are you doing, Southwest Florida? This is Gary and Gary again. We are covering nationals this trip. We just got back, and I guess we'll start with you, Gary. How was your trip out there? Can you describe some of your costs? And
Yeah, I can tell you a little bit about the trip, but my first thing I'd like to say is I'm sitting here and I got to replace Teresa Tarn. Oh my gosh, that's not easy.
You may not look as good, but you are a pretty good guy. So and I appreciate that. Teresa Tarn was our last podcast. Please subscribe to catch all the podcasts. That one was particularly good in the respect of her going over her life and how to prepare to be senior pro. But excuse me, thank you.
But also, anyone I talk to about the podcast seems to really enjoy it. They say we sound like we know what we're talking about anyway.
Wow.
But we do need you to subscribe for us to continue to do this. Please subscribe.
Please hit that subscription button. That is the most important thing for us right now. If you want to see quality videos like this, plus we also have nationals matches being posted at this minute. Subscribe so you can see the matches at nationals, 3.5, 4.0, all that.
Very good. So anyway, back to nationals. Both Gary and I were lucky enough to qualify and attend the USA Pickleball Nationals this past weekend out in Dallas, and we had a great time. We saw each other many times. We got to see each other play, which was not an easy task because it was kind of like a maze out there all over the place, but we made out pretty well.
Yeah, and indeed we did. And actually, while you hit on that, one of the questions, so I brought my wife out there. We actually drove, so it was about 17 hours drive out there. I got a speeding ticket going. That made it expensive. The hotel room, I stayed out there for a week. The hotels are actually reasonable because Dallas is a hub, and I think I ended up spending $1,000 on a hotel. Speeding ticket was $300 plus. Gas was quite a bit. The tournament itself was a lot. We've always been talking about we want cheaper tournaments, and I think it was over $300. So we will talk about comparing it to US Open because we are Southwest Florida channel, but you know, worldwide, especially when we get on the Pickleball channel. But that was my experience getting out there. But yes, it was a maze. And we'll get into that, but how was your experience getting out there? Like
getting out there, we drove from Punta Gorda to Tampa, flew out of Tampa to Dallas, and then we had a hotel room for 4 nights. And the entry fee, I think my entry fee to play 2 events was about $280. So to make an estimate, I would say for the 4 days we were there, counting plane flight, counting reservations, to stay at the hotel, probably $2,000. So it's somewhat of a commitment.
Yes, and we do want to try to provide this information to players that may want to play nationals next year or the year after, because to us it's important to our audience. Again, I went with my wife. She didn't play, and we got a hotel for 7 days. So the cost was a little bit more, and funny enough, they let me play 50 plus, which was on 3 days different than 55 plus. They did all the older groups the first few days, and then they did the younger groups on the days before, and I got kind of a little of both because, you know, I'm young, look young. So, but anyway.
Well, the one thing about the tournament, and as Gary said, when you play, when the ages are, when doubles are, one thing, and I brought this up last time, again, I think these major tournaments have to think about this. Singles, for me as a 70-year-old, they wanted me to play singles on Monday and then men's doubles on Tuesday. Well, that's just not fair. That's not fair to my partner. We can't do that. Nationals, reschedule that. Put singles last.
And my partner did do that to me. He did play, and there's a match of his, actually singles, on our channel, so please subscribe. And he actually, though, Mike played really flipping good after playing singles the day before. I would not have been able to do it, but he was he was lights out. He was moving really well.
The one thing I'd like to say, and I hope they would consider this, Nationals in Dallas this year, I went, I played, I left. I think if you're going to have Nationals where it used to be at Palm Springs in California, I would have gone. I would have stayed for 2 weeks and toured California.
Yeah, so that's an interesting point. Indian Wells was apparently crazy, amazing, awesome. You have venues where you have 10,000 people watching. Now, they did spend $1 million, I believe, on the grandstand court, which we will have a picture introduced, and there was probably 1,000 people watching. It was really good. Dallas was a good hub to get in and out. I know that you spent a lot of money getting to Dallas, but if I had to fly to California, that'd be tough. So it's better for all of the United States to get to Dallas, maybe.
However, I'm still saying, as a tourist, I want to go play pickleball and do something else. I mean, I'm spending money. I want to do other things besides just play pickleball for 4 days.
Yes, and that probably is what my wife wanted as well, although we just sat kind of around. The other comment I heard about Dallas, obviously the traffic was not very good, but it was not too bad if you're in that area with the tour buses. Now the tour buses, there might have been a line of 200 people, so there was a wait at times. But did you take the tour bus over?
That's a great question. What we did, we stayed at a hotel, and then we rented a car when we got there, and we drove from our hotel to one of the Dallas College campuses, and then we took a shuttle bus from there to exactly where the tournament was played. The distances were 5 miles by car and then 1.5 miles by bus. So that wasn't bad. I mean, they did the best they could of transporting people to the site.
Yeah, and I will say the first evening when we got done, we actually were waiting in a line of a few hundred people, and we actually ended up getting a lift. So it was such a bad wait, and we had to play the next day. We got a Lyft Uber.
Let me add to that. The one thing I can add is what did happen to us when we played men's doubles. I played from 1:30 to 11:30.
1:30 p.m. till
11:30 at night we finished.
Oh, okay, yeah. And 10 hours.
Yep, and then I got to wear my medal around for a little bit. But anyway, so I did get a silver medal, but at 11:30 the shuttle buses had stopped. So,
yeah.
So we're now standing
Wow.
outside waiting, trying to figure out how to get back. And they told us they're going to run some little vans back. So they ran some little vans back and forth. And here we are, all these 60-year-old people waiting for a van. And then here's these 30-year-olds all getting Ubers. They're out of there. Us 60-year-olds are going like, what the hell do we do now?
Yeah, because you don't know how to work that thing on your computer thing, phone thing. And so you got back to your hotel like 12:30, 1 a.m. By the time you got sleep, you had, I think your wife said you had a banana for dinner.
Probably a banana.
And you woke up the next day.
I asked her to cook, but she didn't want to cook. I said, here, have a banana.
And you woke up the next day and played mix.
Played mixed with my wife, Donna, and we did real well. We won our first 3 matches, and then the old man here got tired, and that was it. And I can tell you, it went downhill, but we still had a good time.
And again, I believe 1 or 2 of those matches are on the channel. Please hit subscribe, and then you can pick up some great national matches. Speaking of national matches, we want to talk about actually the skill level here. So one of the matches you're going to see on this channel when you subscribe, please subscribe, is 3.5 men's single, 35 plus. To be honest, this guy hit a backhand that I've never seen before in my life. I'm actually going to try to put that in my game. It's better than Ben John's. And so I walked over to the match. I said, wow, what are the pros doing on this court? And they said, no, these aren't the pros. I go, oh, 4.550. No, 3.5. So like, you can explain your skill level, because I mean, I won't say you're sandbagger, but you are. You're playing 4.0, and you had a silver medal at the Open, U.S. Open, or 5.0, one of those two. You're actually one of the probably top 10 in your age group in the world. I will give you that.
That's why Gary's my friend.
I will give you that. Talk about the skill level that you saw.
The skill we played, both myself and my partner Ed Klarman. Ed Klarman's a very, very good player. His Stupa rating might be 5.0.
Naples.
And we wanted to go in at 4.5. They would not let us.
Right.
They would only permit us to go in at 4.0 because that was our USAP rating.
Right. UTPR, which we will cover next week.
Right. So it was a rating nightmare, and the people we played, there was one team who was truly probably a beginner 4.0, and we destroyed them. It was a shame for them. And then the team that beat us in the finals were both 5.0 players, so the ratings just didn't work out.
I believe in my 4.0 men's group, we had 10 players that had won senior pro matches. Like, you gotta fix it, USA Pickleball. Like, what are you doing? This is the worst system that's ever been invented. But we will talk about that next week.
Let's talk a little bit about the location. The actual site. The actual site, they had 74 courts there. They did a great job, I thought, of moving us along. As I said, I played 11:30 to 1:30 with very, very little rest. We played a lot of matches, so we kept going. But there were some teams that had to sit 2.5 hours.
Yeah, the matches were moved, but I think that was more bracket oriented. And the matches did move along. I thought they had enough courts, and they did kind of have it organized and flowing too much, but 74 courts, you're running a mile. But I mean, the organization, the guy must have flipping been drunk who organized how these courts were going to be
number
numbered.
system.
Yeah, oh my gosh! Like, do you know where N34 is?
Oh my gosh! Every time you got a court, you had to either find a map or find somebody or say which way's 42, which way's 75.
And the refs didn't know. The refs had been there all week. No one knew. It was chaos. But that also allowed people to actually get on a court and practice before their match. But they had the courts. I think they did move along pretty quickly. It was chaotic, maze-like, right?
Yes, maze-like.
In the court system, because they basically took tennis courts. So what we would like to see is a venue where they go to a venue where it's pickleball oriented. So this brings up US Open. It's 60 some courts. It's all pickleball. It's all organized for pickleball. I mean, that little alleyway, there must have been 1,000 people going up and down this alleyway that was literally this far apart.
The one alleyway Gary's talking about, you had people coming, you had people going, you had people standing by a gate because that was the only place they could view the court. That just goes. Also, the visitors had to pay to get in, and then they couldn't even see half the courts because of the wind screens and where it was located.
Right. So my wife came, and I said I would never bring her back as a spectator, because spectating was almost non-existent, which is unfortunate. Some of the courts were good, okay spectating, but obviously.
So I think nationals, the process of running nationals is a good thing. It's nice to attend, nice to see people from all over the nation. I saw one couple from Hawaii, but I think we need to change location. I don't think we should go back to Dallas.
Yeah, no doubt, but with that said, do you think someone would say, I would never go back if it's there again?
I will say that. I will never go back.
If it's at Indian Wells, will you go back?
If it's in Indian Wells next year, I will go.
If it's at a pickleball facility near Dallas, that's only pickleball facility, 60 plus courts, would you go back?
No. I want to go somewhere where when I'm not playing pickleball, I can do something. That's my key.
Yeah, my peeve was I don't want to go to a place that has tennis courts. I want to go to a place that has pickleball courts, and I think it'll be organized better as far as that goes.
One thing that was amazing, we're talking 74 courts. We're talking playing from 8 o'clock till 11 o'clock. They had an official for every match. I don't know how they did it. I'd like to really thank the officials for the time they put in. It was almost to the point of where they were abused. They had to work so hard.
So the officials were wonderful. They were awesome. They were really flipping awesome. I really like the officials. I think USAPA is good. I think maybe USAPA needs to go back to where they were going. I think it was Del Webb. It was there. I don't remember if it was A place in Phoenix ran it, in Arizona for years, but they used to only have open age. This is nationals, folks. Maybe we don't need 3-0 and 3-5. We need just open age group. That I think USAPA does an okay, good job with nationals. I think PPA is a bad partner. I don't like it. I don't like PPA. I don't like that they're involved in this nationals. I don't know that you need to make this to have 4,000 players and pros.
I agree. They're two separate entities. They don't need to be together.
Right. So we've discussed a lot of the maybe bad, the good, you know, how we get there. How about the real ugly?
I don't have a real ugly. Do you?
That's because you're a man. So
I know where you're going,
I will put a picture on this channel, and or it might show up in this video. There is a bathroom scene. There's scenes. The toilet paper is coming up through the toilet.
Who was running the camera for this?
It was me. And I'm trying to jiggle a few
things. You don't understand all the sacrifices we make
yes,
to do
you
this.
do not understand the sacrifices for me to be in that flipping bathroom. And they're all porta johns. There was no flush toilets. You didn't see a flush toilet?
I did not see a flush toilet.
The first 2 days, it was like COVID hit. No toilet paper anywhere. Now, luckily, I don't need it, but did you hear about that?
I did not hear about that.
No toilet paper anywhere to be found. I would walk in, there's urinals dripping, and I just kind of was like, I don't want the urinal to drip through the cracks. So there was some bathrooms I went, it was a shit show with shit on the toilet. That was the ugliest part. But again, like...
Gar, our spectators are leaving.
And we were live with spectators.
We might need to wrap.
Oh my. And
the spectators are old and tired.
The spectators are... We like to go on the move, and this is Entrada, Cape Coral, and we like to jump around to different places. And we thank all of our buddies here.
Yeah, we can give a shout out to Nate Cornell for
Nate Dog
for hosting us. Well, I think we pretty well covered everything. You got anything else, Gar?
Where are they next year?
Well, next year, that's a great question. So that would be into our questions. So he just stole our question, but that's a great audience question. Where is Nationals next year? Actually, some people were very surprised that they weren't at Indian Wells this year. So they actually got a golden ticket, and then they're like, whoa, it's in Dallas, and now they're going to Dallas. I hear it's 4 years contract, but I don't know that that's for certain.
I heard the same thing. I heard 4 years.
Yeah, and will PPA keep being involved? I don't know. It was nice to have pros there. Elise Jones, I have my favorites. I got a nice picture. It'll be on there. Gosh, I love you, Elise. And Simone and Lee Waters, Southwest Florida. Sorry. But it was really cool. I did get to sit in the grandstands. I had a VIP pass one day from a buddy, Tony Gray, and we got to go into the grandstand, and I sat next to Annalie's dad, and it was pretty amazing. I'll say that. So if you wanted to spend the hundreds of dollars, it was really cool and wicked. But I would just assume I like going to PPA events as a spectator to watch the pros. I don't like playing in a PPA event. So
I agree.
That's that. I think we covered skill level. So I will say I know there was a senior pro playing 3.0. Gosh. So we also want to talk about the venue, and that's a great topic, Gare. And like the venue, before you got to the courts where 70 courts and it was chaos getting in and out in the maze and stuff, there was Pickleball Boulevard, and to me that was actually one of the most impressive things I've ever seen in a tournament. You had big signs in front, you had a grandstand band. Granted, do I want all my fees to go to a band playing? every minute of the day as I'm trying to play pickleball.
I will add with that. Actually, there were 2 grandstands of bands playing, and the one problem was a lot of these tournaments, they try and make pickleball very, very festive, which it is, which is everyone having a lot of fun. But as Gary alluded to, the bands were playing constantly, and when the band wasn't playing, the music was playing constantly. So, and it was loud enough that it was inside.
I don't think the old people liked such loud music.
People didn't like such loud music.
It felt like the band was on each shoulder going back and forth.
Yes.
I was not so much against the bands, but yeah, I don't want my entry fee to go into it. But I will tell you, like, to me,
it was throwing my rhythm off on the serve, man. That bump, 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 bump. All right. I've seen you dance, Gary. All right.
The sponsors, though, I mean, and the booths were awesome, though. Like, there was a pickle stand, there was a gin stand, which you don't do. There was a wine. Body armor. They must have handed out like 1,000 times 20 bottles, like, in the first day. Like, they kind of hid behind the fence after.
And you know, it was really nice. Pickleball Central had a fabricated store there that was like the size of a mall.
Yeah.
I mean, you could go in and buy anything you wanted at Pickleball Central, and then outside of Pickleball Central, they had a practice court.
Yes. Oh, yeah. They had lots of kind of cool little pickleball courts. They had tried to do the longest game. I would say Pickleball Boulevard was a quarter mile lined with vendors, and it really was the most impressive vendor list and vendors I've ever seen. I really actually enjoyed Pickleball Boulevard.
So we're going to say it was a positive.
That was
except for the constant beat.
So, Gary, we want to talk about the courts real quick. We covered a little bit of the maze and layout and the outdoor courts, indoor courts. Did you get a chance to play indoor and outdoors?
I played both. Indoor courts were a little more crowded than the outdoor, but both courts were no room from court to court. You probably could not do an Ernie. There just wasn't enough room.
Yeah, so my experience was they were better than when I did Oasis in Dallas and got my golden ticket. But there was literally at least 3 courts on top of each other, inside and outside. Inside, I would say the lighting was bad. Now, there were some inside courts where the lighting was good. Did you have an issue with the lighting in any of your inside?
Believe it or not, I did not. I thought the lighting was okay, but I know a lot of people did. But fortunately for me, I did not. I did have an issue inside with the sound. The sound just was vibrating and constantly.
We're back to the boom, boom, boom. But and I will say though, in all the courts surfaces were consistent. So yes. They took tennis courts, they resurfaced them. I think they spent $7 million on redoing this whole tennis facility. And what I heard when it rained, actually, while they played shorter matches, it actually went really well, and the lighting was actually really good in the tennis area. So big shout out to whoever did that. That was a positive. There was a lot of covered courts. So luckily, if it did rain, people had that, because we've had U.S. Open days where it rained, and the whole day is wasted.
You sit for hours, right, and then it's canceled.
So that was a good plus. Like, we just got to get more covered courts at Naples, basically, is how it goes. How would you compare this to Naples U.S. Open for our Southwest Florida visitors?
Yes, I like Naples U.S. Open better. It was just more open. You could roam from court to court and see what they're doing. And the courts in Naples now, with that back pavilion area behind the pro shop area, is just awesome. You can sit under there, you're in the shade, and you can watch courts on the right and watch courts on the left.
Yeah, the pro shop area at the US Open is amazing. And just the fact that it is a pickleball facility, so it's organized so there's not a maze. And yeah, the parking is sufficient usually at US Open. I would agree with you. I put U.S. Open above Dallas Nationals as far as venue.
As far as competition, I would say Nationals above U.S. Open.
Nationals was insane, so I 100% agree with you there.
That's good.
That may be all, other than you can go back to one of our old videos where we cover USAPA, the good, bad, and ugly. We're going to UTPR next podcast. After that, we're going to cover Duper, compare the different rating systems.
Also, we're going to have one of the officials on with us.
Yes, yes, that'll be awesome.
We're hoping Mary Bittner. Mary had said she would sit with us and do a podcast with us, so that's in our future.
Yeah, that's very true. And to close out, I do want to thank my friend, got silver at Flippin' Nationals. I'm telling you, it's really amazing. He didn't bring it. I wanted him to bring it, but it was so flippin' heavy, he couldn't even bring it out of the car. So actually, in that case, you know, they got it right, getting a kilogram on your neck. And other than
I
that,
appreciate that.
yeah. Other than that,
that's good. I think we're a wrap.
Cool. Cheers.